Ready? Okay, good morning. This meeting of Madera County Board of Supervisors is now called into order. And we're going to begin with a roll call because we do have one member that's out today.
Yes, roll call. Supervisor Frazier.
Here.
Supervisor Rogers.
Here.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Wheeler. Let me unmute him. Oops. Supervisor Wheeler.
Yes,
Okay.
here.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good. And I think we'll make that a practice from now on because of the remote potential for remote dial in from supervisors. You never know when that's going to happen. Circumstances might create that. So I think it's important that we accommodate that and make sure that we're in line with that. Okay, at this time, we're going to approach closed session, and County Council, or Clerk, do we have any additions to the closed session?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and County Council, would you read the closed session into the agenda?
Yes, Chairman, members of the board, there are 3 items for your closed session today. The first item is Government Code Section 54957.6. That's conference with your labor negotiator, Director Alba Gomez, and the employee organization is all units. There is a Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection D1, existing litigation. The name of the case is Hamilton versus the County of Madera et al., and the federal case number is listed on the agenda. The last item is Government Code Section 54957, threat to public services or facilities, consideration of a tactical response plan. And you have a consultation with Sheriff Pogue, Director of Public Health, Director Boss, and your Public Health Officer, Dr. Paul. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any comment from the public on closed session? Hearing none. Do we have any by phone or email?
No, Chairman, we don't have any public comment.
Okay. Hearing none, we will retire to closed session.
Supervisor Wheeler, I'm going to close out this meeting and start the closed session meeting. It's the same link that you're on. So give me a minute.
I don't have to turn nothing off.
We'll see. Let me, you stay.
Okay.
I'll close this meeting. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Not great. I was doing some rhythmic gymnastics. Yeah. Awkward.
Hey. Yeah, are we ready? Not yet? Okay. Okay, there you go.
Second.
Your mask off, Rob.
Brett?
Wait, Tom, oh,
Well, this sure, it's a squelch on our nonverbal communications, huh? Covers up the one thing good about people, they're small. Just those smiles. I could see Gary smile through his mask, though. Some people, you know, they're smiling, right? Okay, we ready?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we're ready.
Okay, County Council, do we have anything to report from closed session?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from today's closed session. There is one more item for the board to discuss.
Okay.
The time.
All right, great. So at this time, we'll open and close, and in memory of, and does anyone have any person to,
I do,
go ahead, Tom.
Chairman. Thank you. First one I'm going to honor is Dustin Graham. Max, you might remember him. He was on the council for a few years, the Chancey Council. Very young, 49 years old. His dad and I went to high school together. His dad died in November, and he's gone, and it's just a shame. He was a great leader and respected by the other tribe members. Then another one is Michael Vaughn. He helped, I think every FFA or 4-H event there was, he would go and buy stuff and support the kids. I just can't believe how much he did. And I found out, I didn't know what he had before, but he had leukemia, and I guess it finally took him down. He was just really a healthy looking guy since he's moved up here about 10, 15 years ago. He's a great guy. So, and the other one, maybe Rob, you probably know her, Blanche Campbell. She passed away, and I've known her since the 60s when we used to show cattle all over the state. She's always been a cattle lady, went to Fresno State and showed cows for them and helped out every single FFA 4-H kid in Madera County, I think. I don't think there's one she hasn't helped. I've known her for 50, 60 years, and she worked at Valley Feed and Fuel. I just seen her not even a month or so ago, and I was getting some feed and want to know how I was doing, and here she was. Now she's passed away, so she'll be really missed in Madera County. So that's it for now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any persons to? Okay, if not, we're going to, is Pastor Joel Rodriguez here? Joel? Okay, great. We'll have the invocation by Pastor Joel Rodriguez of Building for Christ, and after that we'll do the flag salute.
good morning. May the Lord bless you. Let's pray. Blessed be God, because you have not rejected our prayer or removed your steadfast love from us. O Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to the prayer of your servants who delight to fear your name, and give success to your servants today, and grant them mercy as they need wisdom and direction. The steadfast love of you, Lord, never ceases. Your mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. You, Lord, are our portion. Therefore, we will hope in you. And for all of you, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be glorious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Man, thank you for that. Let's salute the flag of our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Consent calendar. Any items? The board have any questions on any items on the consent calendar?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay, go ahead.
First one would be L, like in lots of it. Is that, that's with, when I first seen as I seen Delaware Liability Company, and I see it's McCaffrey, exactly what is that repayment plan doing? I couldn't quite understand it when I read the backup, but maybe Matt can explain it.
Sure. So this is actually the second one of these that the board's seen in regards to Tesoro Viejo. This is for, there's a community facilities district that was formed, a CFD, and they intend to do bonding out there and receive construction proceeds from the infrastructure that's been put in place. So in order for this to occur, you have to have this action item where the board is acquiring or doing this acquisition agreement prior to those bonds being issued for the construction proceeds. So this is for the backbone infrastructure, their water, sewer, streets, that's identified in this in the backup for the item.
Yeah, we won't be in charge of that like our other special districts, right?
We are in charge of the community facility or the community services area, the CSA, the county service area out there. But the CFD is set as the financing tool for that. It's really the first, and you see them, Riverstone has a CFD within it. Gunner Ranch West is looking at a CFD. North Shore or the preserve at Miller.
So that guarantees the money. We don't have to be worrying about whether they raise their fees and cost of living and all that stuff. This will take care of all that.
Correct. The Tesoro Viejo, in that the fees are collected by special taxes and it's based off of the square footage. We do not have a Prop 218 assessment issue within Tesoro Viejo because it's set by the taxation and the calculation that was identified with the
Beautiful.
50.
That's good.
Reaching.
Okay, and then the next one is item P. I just wanted to thank everybody. We're buying 2 Type 2 fire engines and 2 water tenders, and it's just nice to see that happening again. We started that plan a few years ago. I know Brett and I Max, we really pushed for that. It was so important, and now it's coming into fruition, and I just wanted to thank everybody. Then in on R, the buying those 5 vehicles for the sheriff. In that program, when I called, I let everybody know last year when we put it out there, the Sound County Air Pollution Board. It's also part of the fire department can get that money, and I'm just wondering if they are working on getting that. So I wish they were buying Chevys instead of Fords, but I guess I don't have no say on that one, I guess. And then the S, like in Sam, how'd we inadvertently omit on June 9th this budget information? I just don't. That's $6 million freaking dollars. How'd we skip over that? Just really, I read that. I just couldn't hardly believe that. So.
Right. Tom Jobigate, County Administrative Office. I mean, I don't really have a good excuse other than we missed it. It's in a separate budget book. It doesn't prevent the operation, but we will need it in order to make revenue transfers in August and September. Again, I could make up an excuse other than we just missed it in the confusion.
No excuses.
Yeah.
We gotta watch that stuff, man. I'll tell you.
Right. Yeah, we take full responsibility in missing it. It didn't prevent, not that this is a good answer for it, but it didn't prevent the operations. We're just trying to
Okay.
make sure we make the transfers in August and September.
Right. Okay, buddy.
Very good.
You guys do a great job, so I have no problem with that. And item V, the Oakhurst Senior Center, that floor replacement, is that our insurance is paying for that and everything?
Marie Castro, General Services Manager. It'll pay for everything but the $5,000 deductible. So the total cost was roughly $24,000. So we'll be reimbursed $19,000 minus the deductible.
Oh, okay. And then on the roof, I had somebody tell me the other day, and I've been trying to get a hold of you, that we got a grant from Chick-Chancey saying that, that they thought that they put a new roof on that, so that most roofs are good for 20 to 30 years. So I don't understand. We need to look at that and see if that happened or not, Maria.
We did go out there, and from what we can tell, it's not a new roof. It definitely needs to be repaired. So I'm not sure if they acquired a grant for it, the work wasn't performed because the roof is in pretty bad condition.
Oh, okay. I've been going to go by and see it, and I just haven't done it. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And I don't know if you got number W or not, item W.
I do.
What in the hell is $6 million firehouse? 4 million, whatever it is. I forgot what I read, but the
And W?
W is
item W.
W is about the.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Oh, is the architect, should they be responsible for this? I mean, when I can't believe that they made that big of a mistake. It's a $125,000 mistake that they missed. How did they miss that much?
Well, it's a portion of it. So the total overages is 124, but we're saying roughly 80,000 of that is a design omission error. We have notified them that we want to negotiate that amount and seek reimbursement, and we're in the process of doing so. Ideally, we come to terms, and we don't do it through their insurance, because if we do have to go through their professional and service, it does require legal action. So
if we approve this, does that mean that they can say, hey, they approved it, so we can get that?
No, not at all.
We get it negotiated out.
Not at all. So the scope of work that we need to cover needs to be paid to the contractor, and we don't want to delay that payment. So we need to process the change orders and pay out the contractor, but we still plan to go after the architect for those costs. So it does not.
Okay, then item X, I thought we remodeled that kitchen already over there at the jail expansion.
This is regarding the SB 1022 project. So this is building up on the L&M modules for the behavioral health, mental health component. It's a different project.
It's a different project over at the jail?
So this would be our third jail expansion project. So I'll let Maritza jump in since she's.
Yeah, but I thought we'd already remodeled that. Is there more than one kitchen?
So
kitchen.
there is a portion of the kitchen that with this project that is to be remodeled, but it's the old kitchen. We SB AB 900 phase 2 built a new kitchen, and so there is some remodeling that needs to happen to the old kitchen, but the majority of the project is to build a new housing unit for mental and behavioral health inmates.
And yeah, I've seen that, and maybe some homeless too that have mental problems.
Manuel Perez, Director of Corrections, Madera County. Tom, the kitchen portion is going to be dedicated to classroom and program space. This is the area that has been vacated because we did build a new kitchen. So this is just now the space that's going to be utilized as part of the project for the
things.
SB.
Oh, okay. Because I thought we put a new one in.
Yes, we did. We're just now going to utilize the space.
The old part now.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense.
Okay,
And then item Z, like in zebra, that's good and bad news, I guess. Dropping those fees, that means they get away with a crime, and it kind of bugs me that does that. But I guess that's a good deal, I guess, rather than spending time and money, would save us on a person, I guess, working there. So I can live with it. I think it's kind of crazy to let those people get off like that. So then on AD, like an A, apple and dog, I think we're screwing up by not making that all the way to 145 a freeway, because here we are doing it again after we already went to 15. I think we should go all the way to 145 while we're doing it, and that way it's always on the books. And I think that will give us more power for more money from the state, and maybe we can get that designation a safe route, more the dangerous route, by getting it changed over. So I don't know what you guys think, but I wish we could do that until we do. So we do that. So,
Mr. Chairman, Matt Traber, Chief of Development Services. On this item, this is kind of the result of a longstanding settlement agreement between the state and the county in regards to an action for approval of the 2012 Tesoro Viejo project and development agreement. This is the completion. I completely understand and agree with Supervisor Wheeler on that, but this has been a 6-year process and $4.3 million to get us to this point. This encompasses the first phase of the construction that we intend to see this built, but absolutely long-term, it will be and should be a freeway all the way up to 145. But with that will require extensive environmental clearance and work that will certainly commence at the time when we have this project constructed and we have a freeway up to that, and we're working through those aspects. We would be looking to that. So there are tentative alignments for the freeway all the way up north of 145. But this action here is to just look at rescinding our existing that, as you may recall, diverged quite a bit east through the town center of Tesoro Viejo, and was the result of significant litigation.
So I thought that we were doing the environmental already for the 145, the Vulcan project.
No, sir. The Vulcan project cleared a eastbound lane from their project driveway entrance to State Route 41. It's a condition of approval for Vulcan to clear environmentally and acquire the right-of-way for a southbound lane from 145 to 15, or to fund a revolver account where they would make dollars available for the construction aspects of this project between 10.5 and 15.
Oh, okay. And that's where that 20 million comes in?
Correct.
Okay.
okay.
That's all, Mr. Chair. Sorry.
That's okay. Any questions from the public on consent calendar? Any comments from the public at all online or phone?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank
Move
you.
to approve.
Second.
Motion is made, Brett, and seconded by Rob. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
At this time, we'll have public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. These are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Public to address this board. I see we have a couple, so come on up one at a time. Dr. Paul?
Thank you, Chairman of the Board and members. I wanted to provide a brief update on the situation with COVID-19 in Madera County. As most people have seen, our numbers have increased significantly, topping over 700 in this last week. The three numbers that we monitor specifically that are of concern, the first is our new case rate in the last 2 weeks is now topping out at about 236. If it's over 100, that's of concern. The other metric that we watch closely is the percent of our tests that are coming back positive. We've greatly expanded testing. However, our number of positive tests has increased up to 11% of all the tests that we're doing are coming back positive now, which also suggests the rate of cases accelerating in our area. And if it's over 8%, that's of concern. And the third thing, which is perhaps the most concerning, is hospital capacity. Specifically, ICU capacity is down to about 16%, and if that's below 20%, that's of concern. As far as what is fueling this increase in numbers, really it's fairly spread out in the county. It's a mixture of a case a person will catch this at work or traveling, but it will spread to a large household, which amplifies it. And also family gatherings may amplify it significantly to large numbers of people. In the last several months, what we've learned is that there's significant risk of, much higher risk of transmission of COVID in indoor settings, especially in settings where people are not able to wear masks, such as when they're eating or drinking. So as far as one of the things that we're doing about this, the state has actually mandated that if our numbers are as high as they currently are, that we need to be working to close areas that could accelerate the spread of the virus. So specifically indoor areas where people can't wear masks, which is bars, indoor dining at restaurants, and wineries as well. Outdoor restaurants are okay. Outdoor settings for wineries would still remain open. There are several other things on the list, such as museums and family entertainment centers, which if they can only be done indoors, would not be allowed to stay open. So the state has mandated that we take those actions. However, I think two things are important to point out. First of all, that these changes will not make a quick turnaround in our numbers. The numbers we're seeing now are reflecting what's been going on for the last couple of weeks. We're hoping that if we start to get people to take more precautions to prevent the spread of COVID, that will have an effect, but we will not see those effects take place for several weeks, as that's kind of the lag that one sees in new cases. And the other thing is that the things that we are closing now will prevent accelerating the spread, but they are not the main drivers of our current increase in cases. And for that, we're going to have to significantly work on people's behaviors, habits of preventing spread, whether it's wearing masks, whether it's more careful with family gatherings, and other interventions, I think are going to be actually the key to decreasing our numbers going forward. And for that and other activities that we're going to be doing with the health department, I'm going to have our director, Sarah Boss, will be correcting some of those issues.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Sarah?
Good morning. So the first thing that we'd like to say is that even with increasing case counts, we are continuing to doing contact tracing. And we've had an excellent contact tracing program that's been recognized even by national sources as doing an excellent job in collaboration with public health and also the sheriff's department. And this week, we are actually onboarding onto a new statewide platform, which everyone else will not see. But for the next week or so, you might see some of the impacts of that transition in terms of our staff. There's going to be a bit of a lag in terms of our ability to report all of the details around cases as we make this important transition. But what it's going to do is it's going to enable us to be able to scale up our team and manage the higher number of cases while still doing thorough contact tracing in our county. So we ask people's patience as we kind of make this transition, understanding that all of the data might not be as readily available as it has been throughout this entire event. But we do encourage people to continue to go to our dashboard and certainly our website. We started in with some messaging this last week that was really important, and we want to emphasize that today in public comment. And that's that we want to keep Madera as open as possible. We want people to be able to stay at work and stay with their businesses open as much as we can. Some of those things end up being controlled by other factors like mandates that are made by the governor and other such things. But we want to maintain as much local control as we possibly can, and certainly want businesses to be able to continue and to be able to pay their bills and go about their life. So in order for us to do that, regardless of how we feel about COVID, we need to get those numbers down. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to slow the spread of COVID. So we need to follow the guidance. We're all wearing face coverings. We encourage people to wear face coverings wherever they go. We encourage people to stop gathering socially. We know this is really difficult, but we're seeing a large number of our cases from people gathering socially either in homes or at events such as parties, quinceañeras, funerals, things like that. And if people do need to gather for an important event, we want people to stay distanced and, of course, wear their face coverings. if people are sick, we have a certain level of testing right now, but the demand for testing as the cases increase will continue to increase as well. So we expect that not everyone will be able to get a test right away. We're also seeing that testing is being, the higher volume of cases across California and the country are overwhelming labs. So we are seeing a delay in how fast people can get their tests back. That means that we need people to act proactively, even if they don't have a positive test. If they have symptoms, we need them to stay home and also slow the spread to their family members. And there are important things that people can do in doing that. And we're actually putting together a resource, a new website that's actually going to be branded for the entire Central Valley. So lots of counties are going to be directing people to the information about what actions specifically people can take if they are feeling sick. Things like wearing a mask even at home. If you are sick, not being in the same room with others without a face covering on. Not sleeping in the same room if possible. And if that's not possible, then separating the beds by at least 6 feet, because of course you're not going to sleep with your mask on. Eating in a separate room if you have symptoms, because you won't be wearing a mask. So these important kind of tools that we have to be able to slow the spread, we're going to make available, and we're going to be encouraging people to be proactive even if they don't have a positive test. We encourage people to continue to communicate their concerns with us. We have the ability to be able to receive complaints regarding any things that people see in the community with regards to businesses. And we're reaching out to those businesses. Every single complaint that we receive at Public Health, we're reaching out to the business and providing technical assistance and support for that business to be able to remain open, but remain open safely. So if anyone has any concerns, if there's more information that they want to see, we encourage people to use our community feedback form, which is on our website. That's maderacounty.com/COVID-19, or call 311.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public to address the board? Public comment. Chief.
Chief Manuel Perez, Madera County, your director. I just want to clarify some of the rumors that's going around in Madera County about some type of infestation going on inside the jail with COVID-19, and it is a true concern because of what's going on to our neighbors to the north and our south. But I'm here to tell you that we have no inmates that are currently affected with the COVID-19, and that is a huge, huge concern, especially inside of an institution. So
that is great.
We've been very proactive on cleaning, keeping the facility clean, using all the protocols, just not Madera County, but the CDC protocols on temperatures, using the proper PPE equipment. So I want to share that because over the weekend I was getting a lot of texts. Hey, we hear that this is going on inside the jail. I just want to come share with the board that we are currently doing a great job. It's a hard job, but we are proactive. The staff that are there every single day is a true fear. It's real, but they understand the responsibility, and we are doing the best we can in keeping our population safe. And I wanted to share that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Manuel.
Good job. Appreciate it. Anyone else to address the board? Come forward. You have to do it from the.
It's on a specific. Want to wait until that?
Yeah. Thank you. All right.
We do have public comment that was emailed in, Chairman?
Okay. Is it related to any agenda item?
No, sir.
Okay. Go ahead and read that public comment.
This is an email from Michael Schwabenland. Dear Madera County Board of Supervisors, I am requesting Madera County create and adopt ordinances that support and enforce mandatory face coverings for all citizens in all Madera County public spaces and gatherings, both interior and exterior. Numerous staff support this request. I also ask you to mandate enforcement using all applicable Madera County agencies under your authority. At this time, Madera County has 7 deaths and a total of 713 cases, with a majority of cases fully recovered without hospitalization. This is a serious issue as many Madera County citizens refuse to understand the issue and refuse to wear protective face coverings as the governor has ordered. This is an educational, enforcement, political, and serious medical public health issue. Many states and cities throughout the nation are almost at hospital intensive care unit capacity. Madera County is in this crisis and to the ugly pull it. The COVID-19 pandemic is becoming a serious public health crisis, and many Madera County residents use facial coverings to protect public health. Today, the governor is putting Madera County on the monitoring list. The governor is also asking counties for more aggressive enforcement. Also, I am sorry to exceed the 300-word limit due to supporting information needed and the facts involved in this issue. I appreciate your time and interest in this critical public health crisis. Thank you for your future attention to this issue. Please feel free to contact me by email at any time. And he provided a Word document with facts, links, and further discussion.
Okay. Any other public comments?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anyone here from the
You
public?
got a good point there, I'll tell you.
Anyone from the public wish to speak? If not, I'm closing public comment, and we'll go to the regular session. We already voted on. Wanted to make sure we did that. I'm going to go to item 7B at this time. Be able to.
Okay. 7B,
Yes.
Board of Supervisors Department, presentation of the 2020 Quarterly Chairman's Culture of Excellence Award for quarters 1 and 2.
So I'm going to ask for my chief of staff to come down and going to help me do this. But we were a little behind on our award presentations for boards of excellence. First quarter, we didn't have meetings almost. I mean, they were pretty much sealed up. So
There's no excuse.
huh?
Just
Anyway, we have the first and the second quarter to present at this time, and so I'll just take these one at a time, if that's okay. And you come down here, and I'll pass these across the. Along with a nice framed certificate, we also have a coin that represents Madera County. On the back, it has our county emblem, and on the front, it has Committed to Excellence 2020. And so this is a special award that gets given to all of those who achieve excellence in the county and are recognized. So that will be given along with the plaque. The first recipient is from the district attorney's office, and her name is Lisa Olson. She's a program assistant too. And the comments that were given is that she handles her job with professionalism, with good humor. Boy, that is certainly necessary these days. A good sense of humor really lightens things up. And dedication to the people of Madera County. And that is really what our jobs are all about. So if Lisa, if you're here this morning, would you come forward and be ready? Holly, if you have something you'd like to say. That would figure. Can you receive this on her behalf? Thank you so much for putting her name in nomination. Another first quarter recipient is from the Sheriff's Office, and it's Sergeant Joseph Wilder. And the comments that were given here, that Joseph oversees the search and rescue teams, which is a very important operation for our county, utilized quite regularly. He's also Sergeant in Emergency Operations and SAR Coordinator. So, Sheriff, is there something you'd like to say about this recipient? That's going on as we speak, isn't it? You want a photo there? Okay, very good. Let's see. Another first quarter recipient is from the assessor's office, Trang Cooper. We have three, actually. Trang Cooper, Brian Glover, and Sarah Anderson. And all three of these people worked as a team to design and implement an improved appeals process for property owners and making reductions in several areas of the process, which has resulted in a savings to the county's general fund. So that is a very important aspect of excellence when we save the taxpayer dollars for other things that are important that can be done. And that's really, really great to recognize these three people. So first, Trang. Two pictures, but it's not happening. Some pictures are. Then we have Sarah Anderson. Sarah. Yeah,
by the assessment.
exactly. She works for the Board of Supervisors, so that's really good. Enjoy the coin. Nice emblem of what this is all about. Brian was unable to be here. We have next from Gary, would you like to say a word about that team?
Interact to provide high quality of customer service. The team actually reduced our appeals from over 100 in 2015 down to 25 in 18-19. And instead of taking 15 to 18 months to respond to an appeal, they brought that time frame down to 6 months or less. So it's an outstanding job by three individuals, but the cooperation between two great departments. And thank you for recognizing their efforts.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all you do. All right. Next, recipients from Public Works. We have two, Patty Becerra and Sarah Ford. Sarah was unable to attend today, but we have the award for Patty. And they've accomplished the incredible feat of completing a full software conversion during the COVID-19 shelter in place at a time staffing levels were near to nothing, taking care of tasks for employees on administrative leave, and participating in 60 hours of training on the new software program. So congratulations, Patty. Andrea. Thank you, Andrea.
Good morning. I just wanted to thank Patty and Sarah. On the onset of COVID-19, we were in the middle of a software conversion, and these two individuals looked at over 800,000 pieces of individual data, 6,500 individual accounts, 10 years worth of meter reads. They were working early mornings, late nights, weekends, when again, most people were on administrative leave. So I just want to say thank you for them, to giving Madera County and the residents of Madera County all of their time and attention, when obviously time and attention was divided between keeping our families healthy and safe and still trying to be an essential worker. So they absolutely deserve this award. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the comment. Appreciate that. What the award's all about. They gave a lot more, a lot more. That's great. And the next award is from the Sheriff's Office. It's Melanie Hopper, and she's been assigned to Rapid Contact Tracing team for COVID-19 and plays a crucial role on that team. So certainly contact tracing is a big issue in our community right now. Very, very important. Come forward and be recognized. Gordon, thank you for your.
Chairman, I just wanted to say I was shocked to realize that Hopper's only been here 3 years. So she's really done a lot in the last 3 years, and she's been pivotal in our COVID-19 response and working with the health department. So very grateful for you recognizing her. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for putting her name in nomination. And we hope to have many more in the next quarter. We have a lot of people who are really putting out their best effort to make this county an excellent place to go. We appreciate your service. We value the people who serve the people we value. That's my feeling, and it's the feeling of this. So thank you so much for that, for your service, and we're happy to recognize that today. Okay, item 7. Yes. We have any public comment on this item? There is no public comment. Bring it to the board.
Chairman, do we want to go to
Yes.
public hearings?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Public hearing, 6A, County Administration Department. Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving documents and actions relating to the refinancing of outstanding lease revenue bonds and financing of capital improvements consisting generally of construction improvements to the county's Hall of Justice, replacement of the juvenile hall heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, and pre-construction activities for Madera County Fire Station Number 3.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Our team here is today, I'll introduce him shortly. This is Joel Begay from the County Administrative Office. On the table is Maria Castro from General Services, Jorge Mendoza for Capital Projects Kitchell, and Maritza Rodriguez, Capital Projects Kitchell. So to provide your board a little background on, I'll wait for the PowerPoint to come up. There you go. All right, just a little background. On March 17, 2020, your board accepted a bid from Harris Construction / SimPBK, a design build proposal for the Hall of Justice. And at that time, your board directed staff to proceed with securing financing for this project, for the Hall of Justice project. Since then, the staff has also completed the RFP process for the design of a future Fire Station 3 and identified a critical need in replacing the HVAC and security system at the Juvenile Hall. Because of the 3 projects and the timing, staff worked with K&N Public Finance to determine the most efficient plan of financing all projects. This plan of finance is described below. First, refinance outstanding lease revenue bonds that were issued by the county in 2015 for the Madera County Government Center in order to allow the use of this facility as the sole security for a proposed 2020 lease revenue bonds to finance the Hall of Justice construction, the Juvenile Hall HVAC and security project, and the design phase of Fire Station 3. This single LRB will finance all, is proposed to be the sole financing for the proposed projects. Next slide, please. So the proposed financing plan will reduce county debt service initially by $609,893 from the current level that the county is paying for the government center. This will increase to the full level of debt service of $2.1 million upon completion of the proposed facility in fiscal year 22-23. Although the proposed financing plan does refinance the 2015 government center lease revenue bonds, it is still more prudent to do that because it allows us the ability to eliminate capitalized interest, which would be necessary if we're building a facility the size of the Hall of Justice. The proposed plan also smooths out debt service, which will eliminate a steep jump in debt service if the government center was not refinanced and we proceeded with issuing a lease revenue bond for the Hall of Justice separately. The total cost of the proposed financing plan, all told, will be $60,298,679. If we issued a separate lease revenue bond today for the Hall of Justice, the total cost with not refinancing the government center will be $60,006,862. Although it is less, this does eliminate having to pay two big debt service amounts for a period of 3 or 4 years as the Hall of Justice overlaps with the government center. Next slide, please. Alternately, just to make sure we look at all possible financing options, the county explored what the financing would be should the Hall of Justice was delayed 3 years. We understand that this is not necessarily a feasible scenario concerning the space needs of the district attorney and probation, but this will illustrate that delaying the project 3 years, the county will pay a penalty of 5 to 10% in construction escalation, and that is represented by the yellow graph overlaid with the green graph, which represents the proposed financing plan. In total as well, delaying 3 years will make the total payments over 30 years $64,409,734, almost $4 million over the proposed financing plan. I'll now turn it over to Maria to explain the 3 major projects proposed for this financing.
Can't hear you.
As Joel mentioned, the lease revenue bond financing relates specifically to 3 capital projects. We wanted to provide you with some additional details on those projects. The first being the Fire Station 3 project. As your board is aware, the county obtained 2 acres of property at the corner of Avenue 21 and Road 26 from Pacific Orchards LLC back in November for a fire station location. In February 2020, staff released a request for qualifications and proposals for architectural and engineering services, and we received 4 bids. An evaluation committee comprised of fire, county admin, and general services reviewed the proposals, and we selected RRM Design Group as the most qualified bidder. Your board will consider approval of a contract with RRM Design Group in the amount of $489,994 in a separate board action today. Just a little bit of background, in 2017, RRM Design Group actually performed a joint fire master plan for the Gunner Ranch and Riverstone communities. So the design team is well aware of the county's needs and expectations, and we expect an easy process. Design is anticipated to be complete in September 2021, with anticipated construction completion in April 2022. Today's financing action will fund $400,000 of the design contract, with the remainder of the cost being paid with development impact fees for fire. Current construction costs are anticipated to be roughly $6.4 million, and staff will be returning to your board at a later date with financing options specific for construction. We have provided here a preliminary site plan for the 7,331 square foot station for your reference. The second project included in the financing is the Juvenile Hall HVAC and Security Systems Upgrade Project. The Juvenile Hall Detention Facility was constructed in 2001, and no major capital improvements have occurred to the facility to date. Both the HVAC and security systems are original to the facility. The systems are antiquated and experiencing issues. The HVAC system, for instance, has components that we can no longer find for replacement, particularly for the variable frequency drives and the 90-ton chiller, which are both original to the facility. The Juvenile Hall security system is also antiquated and out of compliance. The video surveillance system does not have the coverage or the video recording capabilities needed, and the door access control system is out of date and failing. In a later action item on the agenda, staff is recommending the release of a request for qualifications and proposals to assess both systems. The selected consultant would perform a facility conditions assessment first to help us identify which components of the system need to be renovated or replaced, and they will provide us cost estimates. Once the scope of work is identified and approved by the county, full design will occur by the same consultant. We would then put out the project to bid for construction. This project is entirely budget driven, so staff will perform as much scope as possible within the $2.1 million budget that's being included in the financing. The last project included in the financing is the Hall of Justice project, which will house our district attorney and adult probation departments. In April 2019, the county released a request for qualifications to design build entities for design and construction of the facility. Harris Construction, Inc. and Sim PPK Architects submitted the DBE qualifications in June 2019. In October 2019, a request for proposals was released to the DBE, and bids were due February 28th, 2020. On March 13th, the DBE submitted its proposal for design and construction with a guaranteed maximum price of $26,600,000. On March 17th, your board waived the late submission and accepted the proposal. And on March 26th, staff issued a notice of intent to award to the DBE. The county and DBE are currently negotiating contract terms. The county received red line comments on the county's agreement on April 29th, and we sent back comments on May 13th. Although we have not received assigned contractor comments back yet, we did request that the DBE submit a response no later than Wednesday of next week, so we may bring a contract to your board for consideration in early August. The total anticipated project cost, including all soft and hard construction, is $31 million. This includes design and construction, construction contingency, and other soft costs such as project management, inspections, furniture, data and equipment, moving costs, etc. Financing will fund $28,636,000 and $10 of that cost, with the balance being paid with $2.4 million contribution from the Community Corrections Partnership. Included here in the PowerPoint is an exterior rendering of the facility provided by the DBE for your reference. And with that, we're available for questions.
Questions for the staff on this? I'd just like to say how excited I am about Station 3 getting off the ground. That's really great. The land was basically donated to the county, and we certainly thank Jim Maxwell for that generous contribution to the community. We're looking forward to a new facility being built there, as well as the Hall of Justice. We're going to get a very nice facility there, and the other facilities that were presented, and we're just looking forward to all these projects. Anybody have any comment from the public on this?
No, or these are the best financing options we could possibly get?
Yes, Supervisor, we looked at several models. We looked at not touching the 2015 LRBs because conventional wisdom would dictate that you got an interest rate, you just see it to maturity. However, that would only be true if we could use a separate facility to secure a Hall of Justice. Given it's a $30+ million, the government center is the only facility that would make it possible, which means we had to refinance it to make it free and clear. And even if we did that, we ran the numbers as showed it would save the county over 30 years $200,000, even if we waited for it to get maturity. So we felt that avoiding the cost of escalation was more cost efficient, and avoiding capitalized interest was definitely more cost efficient. So that's how we settled with the proposed financing plan. We were cognizant that we possibly might get a higher interest rate than what we got in 2015, but that also meant we have to borrow less.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I will take this out to the public. Any public comment on this item? This is a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Any public comment? Hearing none, bring it back to the board and close the public hearing.
Make a motion for approval.
Motion is made.
Second.
Motion made and second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, staff, for a very creative financing proposal. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, clerk of the board, clarification. I think
Except for
6B would
and
need to be
6B.
approved separately.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're still in a public hearing.
Okay.
That already that was in this last presentation.
Right. Yeah, we have to approve two identical resolutions. One as the Board of Supervisors, which you just did.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we're now going to sit as the Board of Supervisors acting as the Madera County Public Financing Authority. So in that capacity, we will be voting on item 6B. Am I correct?
Correct, right.
Okay.
Did you want me to read that as well? It's the same.
Yeah, go ahead and read it into the record.
Okay, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving documents and actions relating to the refinancing of outstanding lease revenue bonds and financing of capital improvements consisting generally of construction of improvements to the county's Hall of Justice, replacement of juvenile hall heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, and pre-construction activities for Madera County Fire Station Number 3.
Okay, any questions? Board? Comments? None? Take it out to the public. This is a public hearing. We're sitting as the Finance Authority. Any comment on this item? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board, close the public hearing, and
Make a motion for approval.
motion is made and second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay, we are back as the Board of Supervisors, acting as the Board of Supervisors.
Item
Item 6C.
6C, Human Resources Department. Consideration to adopt a resolution appointing Doug Wilson, employed by Wilden, as Road Commissioner pursuant to the Streets and Highways Code.
Okay.
Good morning, board members. Alba Gomez with the Department of Human Resources. This item is being brought to your request for approval because of the recent vacancy for the Public Works Director necessitated the request to appoint a road commissioner. Matt Trieber is here if you have any additional questions regarding this appointment, but we are requesting that you appoint Doug Wilson, who is currently employed by Wilden and is a registered civil engineer to serve as your road commissioner for the county.
Okay, any questions from the board, comments from the board?
I would just like if Steve can just restate what a budget savings is.
Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
So just to the Public Works Department, this is a savings of almost $140,000.
That's general fund for this, or funds or.
It is, part of it is general fund, and actually, I misspoke there. It's $240,000, almost $240,000. Yeah, dollars. A lot of that is general fund, but a lot of that is also road fund and those different things. So, and Doug is here as well. Excited to have Doug coming on.
Any further questions or comments from the board? Thank you for pointing that out.
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
I think it'd be appropriate to hear from Doug. I've never met Doug. I don't know much about his background.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And as our road commissioner, I think we should know something about him. I'm sure I may be the only one in the room that doesn't know him or doesn't know his complete history, but that's the case. I still need to know. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
With that opening, I will say that the first time I was ever had a public hearing to be road commissioner, I was advised by county council to say that I met the qualifications. I'm a registered civil engineer, and that's the only qualification listed in the Streets and Highways Code. So I'm qualified. Now, having said that again, just to give you a little bit of my background, I heard the question. I mentioned the first time I was appointed road commissioner. That was in Tulare County. I spent the bulk of my career working for Tulare County before retiring and joining Wildan. And so I was road commissioner. I was first appointed road commissioner in 1983. And since joining Wildan, I've done primarily staff augmentation type services. And so in addition to my time in Tulare County, I've had 2 stints in Inyo County as the interim public works director, where I was also road commissioner. 2 stints in Mariposa County as the public works director, where I was also road commissioner. And most recently, I had a stint in Mono County, where I was the public works director. They were organized differently, so I was not the road commissioner. I could say more, but, again, that gives you a little of my background. If you have any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to try to address them.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for the?
Well, thank you so much. And to be a good road commissioner, you need to have a good road commissioner tie, and I see you've got one on. So
Yeah,
there you go.
I brought it special. Absolutely.
There you go.
Looks like it might be Lombard. It's going down pretty windy. Thank you, Doug.
This is a public hearing, so are there any public to make comment on? I'm opening the public hearing. No public comment? Last call. Okay, the public hearing is closed. Bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
It used to be the supervisors were the road commissioner of their own district, and thank God we're not that anymore. So with that, I'd like to move to approve the resolution.
Motion made. Have a second. Motion made and second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Item 7A.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7A, Board of Supervisors, District 1, update on Mission 2023 Madera County Strategic Plan.
Very capable Melissa De Silva is on her way to the microphone. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. I'm Melissa De Silva, Chief of Staff to Supervisor Frazier, and I am here this morning to provide you an update on Mission 2023, our Madera County Strategic Plan, and where we are with our action items. Back in October, Supervisor Wheeler asked that an update be provided to your board on a semi-annual basis. So the update was scheduled in March prior to our management workshop, which that was just before the pandemic hit. So we consulted with the chairman, and he asked that we postpone this until today. So the PowerPoint that I presented is more of a historic document than something we need to go through screen by screen. But of course, if you have any questions, I am more than willing to answer. So here we go.
Questions?
Oh, the end of it? I go? Should I continue? Okay. So we have our mission, vision, and values, like you're well aware of. This is our Mission 2023 logo. And this is just some timelines and so forth where we are today with moving forward in spite of the pandemic. Wanted to make sure that.
Tom, we need to mute your mic, I think.
That ain't me.
Ah,
That's not me.
could be Skip.
Yeah, we have someone on the line named Russ. I don't know who that is, but I have.
Oh, Russ Shaw, maybe.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. So as you're aware, we've got several focus areas, and I just brought those forward to your attention there. The first one being the community, and we emphasize enhanced fiscal responsibility, improved customer service, improving transparency, improving delivery of service, and then homelessness. And here's a little bit of an update. We have submitted grant applications in 2018, 2019, have received more grants than we had prior to our strategic plan, thanks to our grant coordinator here in the county. So each of the focus areas had a key element about customer satisfaction. And so a customer satisfaction survey was developed through the 311 Madco app. And we've got some survey results here that you saw back in October. Those haven't changed, obviously, for 2018 and 2019. But we've got a few things for the 6 months from January to June. We've got mostly strongly agree and agree when treated with respect. So 83% say agree, strongly agree. When information is presented, their questions are answered. We've got an 80% that strongly agree. And then overall, they trust our organization. We're down a little bit there under strongly agree at 74%. So we still got 6 months to go, for a yearly, but I wanted to provide you that 6-month update. Customer service was also a key element, and I think that we can demonstrate that we provided great customer service during this pandemic with posting about all of our departments and how they're open to our public and how we could service, our community, even though we mostly were kind of shut down, so. Homelessness, in November, you approved the plan to reduce homelessness, and those are some achievements for this goal, and I know they've been working tirelessly. They've had meetings on an ongoing basis to move this forward. So employees was our second focus area, and we have kind of two areas under employees. We have employee engagement, and then we have employee wellness. So under our engagement, as you know, we developed that employee satisfaction survey. We've deployed it for 2 years. We're getting ready next week to deploy it for the 3rd year. And so we'll look forward to seeing those results. And then we've got our Customer Service Academy that we're working on, training and education programs, our accounting ethics policy, new employee orientation, and so forth. So we're ticking away. We still have 3 years to go, but we're ticking away on that. So the employee satisfaction survey was a key element for the employee wellness as well, because there were about 4 or 5 questions on the survey that relate to employee wellness. And I've kind of outlined them here about stress management, a work-life program, our employee assistance program. We probably need to do more outreach so people understand that that's available to them. And then about their health as being a priority. So those were key elements that our wellness committee is working on. Our overall health is a priority, and then we have healthy food choices. So great tools for accessing where we are with employee wellness. Public safety, the objectives were to streamline and improve public safety and improve inmate rehabilitation. And there's a lot of items on this list. I know it's difficult to read, but I think you each have a copy. So you can see just as a snapshot where we are. All of them, most all of them have started, or some have finished. Again, this is just kind of a snapshot, and I'm going through this very rapidly. Public information, you with your authority, we developed a public information team, and we're continuing to move that needle through customer satisfaction, transparency and branding, and of course improving our customer service. Again, we deployed the customer service survey. We are developing the Service Academy. We're updating our public information team communication document on an annual basis, and we're just trying to continue to improve the quality of life, and we can see that through our analytics, through our Facebook, Instagram, so forth and so on. Technology, they have a lot of action items that they're working on. You can see through this snapshot that they have completed one, and they're working diligently towards all the others. They've been very, very busy. Infrastructure, again, improve infrastructure, continue smart growth tactics, and here is some of their action items, and they've done a lot of completion on their list of action items, and that is here if you have any questions about infrastructure. Governmental relations, as you are aware, we wanted to improve those intergovernmental relations by having annual meetings and strengthening, enhancing our community at large. Last year, we had our 3rd annual meeting, and very beneficial. Last year, we developed and deployed a survey to look at what we wanted to do for this coming year. And here were some suggestions: flood control, water, homelessness, customer service training for all three agencies, infrastructure, business, and job growth. So as we move towards this meeting in October, we probably would like to maybe look at some of these and address them. Health, we had mental health and physical health as part of our strategic focus area 8. And you can see from this snapshot the mental health focus areas and the physical health focus areas. Again, some great strides. So we'll continue to move this forward. Each different focal area has a captain or a head, which they continue to meet and work towards the goals of our mission to create a county-wide culture of excellence through dedicated service. And that's a really quick snapshot. So questions, concerns?
Really great. You know, what you can plan, you can achieve. And we certainly knocked down a number of metrics there that are really worth observing. The one thing about a plan is that it evolves over time, it changes, it morphs as opportunity and circumstances present themselves. But we certainly have seen the benefit of goal setting over the last 5 years of this strategic plan that we've implemented. And I just see great things for the future as we, and thank you for this report. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Great job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there'll be more to come with the strategic plan later on. You know, we're working right now on how to regroup post-COVID, and even though we're still in the midst of it, maybe how to live with COVID, maybe the more apt description of what our strategic plan effort will.
The new norm, right?
Yes, the new norm. Thank you so much.
Why
Appreciate
wasn't a global pandemic thought of at the beginning of the strategic plan? We should have.
Yeah, if we only knew hindsight 2020.
Right.
Epic fail.
Yeah. Great job. Thank you.
Yeah. Any public comment on that report? No public comment. Bring it back to the board, and it was informational. The next item, 7C.
7C, County Administration Department Coronavirus Relief Funds. 1, ratification of state certification forms submitted by the County Administrative Officer to the State Department of Finance in order to make Madera County eligible to receive Coronavirus Relief Fund payments and state payments to offset reductions in realignment funding. 2, presentation and proposed use of CRF payments received by the county.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrative Office. The first recommended action is to ratify 2 certification forms. We received word from the state on July 1st that those forms are required by July 10th, and the submission order determines the order of payment. So the CAO had signed and certified those forms under the authority under emergency powers, and is here today to ratify those forms. The second is a verbal presentation, just to let your board know that our office will be coming back as early as July 14 and possibly July 21st to provide a more comprehensive plan and proposals on how to utilize $16.1 million in coronavirus relief funds, federal coronavirus relief funds that the state is passing through and giving to counties and cities. So Madera County's share is 16.1 of that Madera's shared allocation is 16.1 million. These funds must be used between March for expenses from March 1st through December 31st, and must follow the federal guidance and FAQs that were provided for the legitimate use of those funds. In general, these the forthcoming plan will include 3 major buckets. The first is community, what we're calling community assistance. This will encompass grants that will help small businesses in the region that are impacted by the COVID pandemic. It will also provide grants for nonprofit agencies that are providing services to the underserved in the community. The second component will be the county's pandemic response expenses. This encompasses your health and safety employees that are providing direct services directly related to the pandemic response. And the third bucket are county costs associated with the county continue to provide county services under COVID in a safe and prudent manner. So those three components will be in a forthcoming plan. And we'd also like to take the opportunity to introduce Lieutenant Zach Zabudio from the Sheriff's Office, who's going to be helping county administration coordinate the funding. There's going to be a lot of components. We need to make sure we're in the up and up in the federal guidance, and we need to make sure we maximize what we claim for this funding by the funding deadline. And with that, staff is available for questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, David?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel. That sounds really good. When we were talking about Sarah and Dr. Paul, they had to hire some extra help. Will it pay for those?
Yes, Supervisor. Those are contact tracing falls under the pandemic response, so those expenditures would certainly fall under those. Given the timing of when this money was released and how we're trying to wrap our heads around procedures to make sure we track the expenses, the contact tracing expenses are certainly one of the things that we're looking at, making sure that health is staffed properly for contact tracing, but at the same time, we also utilize resources that we already have within the county that can possibly fill those. Twofold. Number one, they can meet the need quicker, but also helps alleviate some of the budgetary shortfalls that we're experiencing.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking about, see, because that many extra help is a lot of money.
Right.
And also the ones going out doing the testing, I think that should be covered too, because I think there was 5 of them, I believe, and when I went and had my test done, and that adds up. So they said each test is around $400. So I don't know how true that is. That's just what one of them told me up there. So
one thing we would like to note, though, that these funds are specifically, as of this moment, not for revenue replacement. So one of the things why we're being careful and making sure that we track everything, it's for specific types of expenditures. Now, admittedly, the federal guidance provided for it is pretty broad. However, it is specifically not for revenue replacement. So we have to be careful, and we are being mindful of that.
That's all extra. I mean, that's not. I mean, the extra help is extra. The doing the testing, going out and doing testing, that should all be extra. That wouldn't be under our purview of doing that every day.
Correct. Those are for sure eligible expenditures.
Okay, I just want to make sure. And then, are we advertising to the businesses about this money's available?
So one of the things we're doing is coordinating with EDC. And I know the cities are also in line to receive a portion of the allocation, not part of the 16.1. They will receive a separate allocation from the state. From what we've heard is, at least with the city of Madera, they are looking into some kind of small business assistance. What we're making sure is that once we move forward with the proposal, is that we're coordinating with EDC, like what many other counties have done that has received these funding since April directly from the federal government. Is what model does this work is to work with your local EDC to make sure that you create a program that's consistent across boundaries and that makes sense for the community. So we're making sure we're coordinating with EDC.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of going to be my question was, what are those guidelines going to be? Is this a business that had to shutter their doors? Is it a business that's been able to stay open but is barely staying open? So the EDC is going to create that program?
We are working with the EDC to create those guidance. So there is existing programs from our neighbors that have kind of fleshed those components out. What we're looking at is what other counties have done and see what works for us in terms of those guidance. And then also making sure that one thing that's clear from the federal guidance is that businesses that receive any kind of CARES benefit one way or another is not eligible for this funding.
Okay.
So they would have to certify that. So that's and a lot of counties have done that work. But then because how it was allocated is so skewed, some programs in the county, once they've gone through that first level, then they tweak it to ensure that they get more or less depending on the available money. So we would have to do that work and saying, okay, here's the basic guidance. Is there going to be enough to help 50% of business and that kind of stuff? So then we would have to set the parameters to make sure that the availability matches, the demand. Or, I mean, it would be nice if the availability matches the demand, but more than likely the demand's going to be higher than the availability. So we would have to set some local guidance to make sure, we don't create some kind of false expectation that everybody's going to get it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Even if we had every single dollar from the 16 million, the amount of money that's been lost in the local economy is far more than 16 million. Just is it just going to go to the employees? Is it going to go to the business owner? If they shut their doors after anyway, they have to repay it. So there's going to be a lot of guidelines we're going to have to go through and look at that. And is there a way to even find out, or is it just they would check off, no, I never received anything from the CARES Act, and then we find out that they did after, so I guess we'll just take care of that at the EDC level. But I think it's important that we have some function there to help out where we can from this funding. And then one other part, I know in the very early meetings, then Sheriff Varney had talked about keep track of everything that you're doing related to COVID for reimbursement. Have we been doing that throughout all the different departments that have been associated with?
So tracking the costs is important, whether you're going to get FEMA reimbursement, which is one pot of money and one set of costs, versus what is reimbursable from the CARES Act. So that's one reason why Zach was picked as someone to help Joel, because he's been involved with that since about the third or fourth week in March, and is familiar with what we've been doing there previously that's going to go to FEMA versus what should go to CARES Act. And Joel has been looking at models from other counties also, like Fresno, where current, in terms of how did they put together their parameters for amount per business, how many businesses, whether they had to implement a lottery system because the demand for the money was so much higher than the amount of money available. So that's what we'll be bringing back to you on either the 14th or the 21st for your input related to how you'd like to see the money spent versus how much money we would anticipate needs to be spent on our response efforts to date or future between now and December. For some reason, they picked December 30. I don't know if December 31st isn't going to exist this year, but the money has to be pretty much encumbered or put into a position to be obligated by September. It has to be spent as of right now by December. It's possible they could extend it, but there's no guarantee of that right now.
The updated Mayan calendar. 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joel, I was just going to ask a question in regards to the small business funding. I mean, it seems like if, the government or the state government or federal government is providing these funds, there'd be some guidelines that they would provide. It wouldn't be necessarily, maybe we could apply some specifics, but we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel or invent our own rules as far as, things that go, because otherwise, I know with some of the EDC loan programs they administer, it's state money or some of it's CDBG, and I know that they can come back and audit, and if you haven't spent the money the right way, then you can, you have to pay it back and things of that sort. So I would hope that there are some general guidelines that they're going to provide for us.
Right, Supervisor. In fact, we've reviewed those guidelines. I think this is one program where they made it, they use the word general, really literally. So, for example, it would say, the language in the guidance is say it would be used for entities that are impacted by COVID, right? And that's a specific line. This is one program. Normally, when you receive a federal program, you get 10 pages of guidelines and you get about 2 or 3 pages of FAQs. This program has 2 pages of guidelines and like 10 pages of FAQs. So, and those FAQs have been revised twice now as questions are asked. But if you follow the responses from the Department of Treasury, they are seemingly bending over backwards to respond in a general way. And I think some of that is they know localities' needs would be different. They're trying really hard not to be restrictive, and so that the local entity has a more broader set of guidance to follow. But one key thing that they said is if a business or an entity benefited from CARES Act, from any other component of CARES Act, they're not eligible for the coronavirus relief fund. And I think that specifically talks to tax credits that are entities that are eligible for tax credits under the CARES Act for the employee rehiring program.
The PPP.
The PPP, right.
Yeah.
So, and what we've seen, some counties like Kern did a model of grants and forgivable loans mirroring the PPP program. Some counties have gone on straight grants, not, non-payable. In the FAQs, both models are allowed. One thing we've seen though is that the local parameters that were put on was geared towards limiting the number of applications because of the availability of the funding, which is a different issue in of itself and how they split it. But it seems like those are the driving factors in the local parameters we're putting. We're trying to strike a balance that we want an application form that we can turn around, review and certify and get the money out to the community as fast as possible. But at the same time, not making sure that if we do get audited, that it would pass the muster by any federal audit.
Gotcha. Very good. Thank you.
Any more comments from the public? We do have one public comment that needs to be put in the record.
Okay, 7C, we received public comment from Madeline Harris. I'm writing to comment regarding today's agenda. 7C, coronavirus relief funds. As staff continues creating a plan for how coronavirus relief funds will be utilized, I wanted to provide some brief comments to the board, uplifting some of the needs that our organization has been hearing from Madera County residents due to the COVID-19 related impacts. I receive questions from folks across Madera County on a weekly basis regarding where they can access cash assistance for utilities, rental payments, and food. This is one of the most frequently voiced needs that our organization hears from members of the community amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. I was glad to see in today's agenda packet the staff is creating an expenditure plan that would in part assist the most vulnerable population and provide a safety net for residents, and wanted to uplift the need for this type of cash assistance to ensure this need is incorporated into the expenditure plan. I'm also looking forward to working with staff in the coming weeks to further discuss community priorities and needs and answer any questions about the request for assistance that our organization has been fielding in recent months. Thank you for considering these comments, and as always, do not hesitate to reach out with any questions. Madeline Harris with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability.
Any further public comment? Hearing none, back to the board. What's your pleasure?
Is that an expenditure that can be done under this, or is that something that would go maybe through CAPMC?
So the answer to your first question, those rental assistance is allowable. Services to the homeless is allowable. As for the second question, whether it has to go to a nonprofit or not, the federal guidance is silent to that. I think it's up to the local community if they want to provide it for that service and how they expect to provide it.
Okay. I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Made and second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
7D.
7D, County Administration Department, General Services Division, Capital Projects. Discussion and consideration of approval of an agreement with RRM Design Group in the amount of $489,994 for design and engineering services for the Fire Station Number 3 project, and authorize the chairman to sign. 2, discussion and consideration of approval to release request for qualifications and proposals number 2020-04 for facility condition needs assessment and architectural and engineering services for the Madera County Juvenile Hall Security System and HVAC project.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Maria Castro, General Services. The 2 action items before you are directly related to the financing item that was approved earlier. One is an agreement with RRM Design Group in the amount of $489,994 for design and engineering services related to the Fire Station 3 project. And the second is approval to release a request for qualifications and proposals for a facility condition needs assessment and architectural and engineering services for the county juvenile hall and security systems project. And staff recommends approval, and we're here for any questions.
Questions for the staff?
I got some.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, first of all, a $6 million firehouse is totally ridiculous. I never even, it's just unbelievable. And to pay them $489,000 for architect is ridiculous. When we built the last couple firehouses, we said we'd use those plans over at other stations. Why are we doing this now? I can't even think that we're trying to do that. It does not make sense. And they showed all those pictures they've done. Well, hell, we don't want no Taj Mahal here. I mean, we can't afford a Taj Mahal. And to have one look like that and all the rest of them we got is totally ridiculous. We built the North Fork one, just the fire station itself, not all the living quarters stuff we have to have on this, for $500,000. And now we're doing this. The one in Coarse Gold is a prime example. Why can't we just use that as a model, and we don't have to pay an architect $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to design one? Why are we doing this? We said that we would repeat using our plans that we already got for a couple of the firehouses.
Supervisor Wheeler, Chief Watson, I'll address that some is with the change in ADA laws, it took about a 5,000 square foot fire station to about a 7,500 square foot fire station. That's a lot of the changes. As far as engineering, we've asked that question, and the plans do have to be re-engineered because it is on a different piece of property, different soil types, and all that different type of stuff. But
Bull, Matt, they all got to have a foundation no matter where you put it. That soil had nothing to do with it. If it has to have a little bit bigger foundation, that ain't no big deal. I did it on my cabin up the high country. It's all sand. And I had to put like 3 foot wide foundations. No big deal. Not no hundreds of thousands of dollars. What's wrong with the Oakhurst plan? If we expanded it just by 2,000 square feet.
yeah, the Oakhurst plan would be sufficient. Same thing again, Supervisor Rogers, Supervisor Frazier, it does have to be re-engineered. Unfortunately, we can use some of the design elements, which could save some time and money. And anytime we take the opportunity to save time or money, we're going to do that. Hopefully through this process, we can try and reduce that cost of the projections. For an essential services building, which is prevailing wage, it basically triples the cost of a project that someone can do privately.
And they've all had to be that, everyone we built.
Correct. Station 8 at Chachansey, that one was just a little over $2 million, and that was quite a few years ago. But with the escalator, just in the contracting prices, it was $687 a square foot, and that was about a year or so ago. So it has increased since then.
Ridiculous.
It's the same
I'd
as
agree
the
with
city
you.
of Madera. This was similar cost to their brand new one as well.
Yeah, the City of Madera Station, so that's why the cost seems a little high to me, is the City of Madera Station was $6.5 million, and it's a 10,000 square foot building, and this one is anticipated to be under 7,500 square feet.
That's what I mean. I see, that's just crazy. Somebody's trying to stick it to us. We don't need no fancy, all that exterior rock and all that stuff. We need a plain building, just like all the rest we have, and not no fancy damn, firehouse thing out there that looks like a Taj Mahal.
The city of Madera's was plug and play into the city facilities. I would imagine that this one is going to have a well and some fire suppression that would be more expensive due to the location.
And also, just to be clear, the 6.4 is total construction. So that includes the construction costs, which we have an estimate of 5.8. But we're also including project management, special inspections, furniture and equipment. All of that's included in that $6.4 million value. So it's not just construction comprising that $6.4 million construction value.
Tom, I had the exact same reaction to this. It was visceral.
In addition to what Maria and Matt have mentioned, there are what utilities that are located at that specific site are 2 miles away. So we do have to account for a a well, as well as the infrastructure for expanding it for the owner of the property, which will be a new business. So it's all included as well as part of the engineering and architectural services. In addition to that, the RM fee for the 480, it is consistent with what we typically pay engineering and architectural services at about 8 to 10% of the total construction project cost. So it is within those limits.
It is what it is.
Well, it wouldn't be that if we used some of the other plans. It wouldn't have to be that high of a architectural fee. All they have to do is redo the plans to whatever that has to be.
Just engineering.
It's easy to expand.
There still has to be some engineering that needs to occur, that we have to.
They're gonna charge full price on the engineering because they're not gonna accept somebody else's work.
Correct.
I thought, Matt, didn't the state come up with some general plans for firehouses that they were going to use over and over?
Yeah, I mean, we're not opposed to using current plans, but I mean, the building code has changed dramatically also since the last fire station we built, which will be part of the engineering plans and part of that fee. So, I mean, the building codes changed, the locations changed, and some of the needs have changed. But I mean, anything we can use, the space needs analysis was already paid for and done by Riverstone and Gunner Ranch. And we're going to utilize that. That'll speed up the process. That'll save some funds.
What about Bass Lake, the new firehouse? How much that cost?
That was a state fire station. That I'd have to look because that's Department of General Services through the state of California. Would have been funded through that. Our local unit didn't have anything to do with the cost. So, but I can find that out.
Well, we find out and see if we could use those plans.
Yeah, I mean, they paid for the plans. They're going to obviously not give the plans away for free, but I'll definitely ask.
Yeah, I mean, we ought to look into it. I mean, this is just crazy. Just, yeah.
Okay, any other questions from the board? If not, I'm going to take it out to the public. Any comments from the public? No comments from the public. I'll bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure? I'm going to move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion is made. Staff will do what they can to mitigate any extra costs, or if we find something cheaper meantime, let's do it. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, I'd like to see them bring that back and tell us what they found out.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
No.
Vote passes 4-1.
Okay.
Thank you.
The reason I'm
Supervisors,
voting
and
no
we'll
is
make an
because I
attempt
want
to
to
be as
see.
frugal as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I want to see those numbers and stuff before I vote yes.
Okay, 7E.
7E, Human Resources Department, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution appointing Cindy Avila as Madera County's Animal Services Director effective July 7, 2020.
Good morning, Board members of the board. This is Elba Gomez with Human Resources. This request is to appoint Ms. Avila as the Animal Services Director. Ms. Avila is currently serving as the interim Animal Services Director and is here at your pleasure to answer any questions you may have of her or any questions you may have of me for this appointment.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Cindy? Since you took over on a per basis, there's been a lot of criticism on your manner of operation. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And since you took over, have you changed your manner of operation as far as with the volunteers and the people that you will be working for? Some of them even have threatened to pull away from the animal shelter.
Okay, well, I've been working closely with the president of the Friends of Madera Animal Shelter, who is our largest
a volunteer organization, and I've had no problems whatsoever with Velvet and the majority of the Friends team. There are a few members of the team who do not agree with the way I'm running things. However, I am going directly on the direction that the board has is willing to go with the assessment from the Shelter USA. That is exactly how I have been running it, which the board has all agreed that that's the way they want it run. And unfortunately, some people don't agree with that board's decision to take it that way.
Well, just let me be clear that I've always in favor of hiring within the department, like yourself, you work for the department and it was a position that was open. And I always favor that to hire within the department if possible. But like I say, I'll repeat myself, there's been some criticism there and I hope you're aware and work with these people so that we can be a team.
Absolutely. I'm more than willing and happy to work with anybody. Nobody has come to me directly. I have had one email from one constituent, but other than that, people are not coming to me directly with any types of complaints.
Okay.
Cindy, this is Tom Wheeler.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. I've heard through the grapevine, I don't know it for a fact because I don't know, but our release rate, is it up or down since you've been in there since January?
The live release rate has stayed steady, neither up nor down.
Have we got dogs that still been there since March?
We do have a couple that have been there since March.
Why? I mean,
the population has been cut in half since COVID started. We were averaging 75 dogs, for the shelter. It has been down to 35, 40 at the max. It did go up a little bit over 4th of July. So, I mean, that alone, half the population means half the cost of running the shelter. And some of them, the direction we're going is trying to place more animals in homes rather than euthanizing. So the euthanasia rate is way down. We do have some dogs that aren't perfect, and it takes a little bit longer to place them. We've had some that just recently, we had another one that had been here for 2 months, which I agree is a long time. But just because a dog doesn't get along with another dog, we don't feel that's a reason to euthanize the dog. And these problem dogs have been getting placed. I mean, it does take longer, but that's the whole reason of, reducing the intake to the shelter so that we can help these problem dogs and not just take in, every little fluffy that, actually has a home. The shelter's main concern is to help the dogs in need more than the dogs who are already, rescue will take all the cute little fluffies that we can come up with.
Yeah. Have you had any problem with the Native Americans up in the mountains in Norfolk and Coarse Gold?
We have not. There was one case where they wanted us to pick up some dogs, their request to pick up some dogs. We did meet them outside the reservation because there was already a group of people that were against that, but it was their decision. They had some problem dogs. They handed them over to us, but it is since January, that's the only actual contact we've had.
Have you got all the records now that disappeared after Kirsten left? Have you got those now?
Yes, I do.
All of them?
All of them.
Good.
And there were some that weren't there, but I have access to that file.
Okay.
Great.
Are there still with the foster groups and the different volunteer groups, are they still able to foster dogs out, cats out to other areas?
Yes, we have a lot of fostering. A lot of our fostering now is what we call, I forgot what we call them now, Good Samaritans. And so when people, and this is working out great, rather than having to find fosters, 'cause it is hard to find fosters for, pets that
Tougher issues.
unknown length of stay for them. But the public has been, when they call, we found this stray dog, and we asked them, would it be possible for you to hold on to it for a few days, either until we get a few dogs out, or until we get more room, or you may be able to find the owner. I'd say 8 times out of 10, either they find the owner during the time when they're waiting for us to say we can take in the animal, or they decide to keep the animal. And so really,
That's
these
great.
Good Samaritans are fosters, but short term, and it's working out beautifully.
And the rescue networks?
Rescue networks, well, out of state is closed. They have been closed since the pandemic started, but we have locals who come. We have Marin County or Silicon Valley that comes twice a week, and then we have a few other locals. So on the average, we have 3 or 4 rescues per week that we are able to send animals out to.
Great. I just want to say that I adopted a dog a few years ago, and Cindy handled the adoption on that. He didn't even know who I was really as a supervisor when I went in there, and I spent considerable time in the facility. We observed the dog and played with him a little bit, and made sure he was the kind of dog we wanted. But I thought she handled things extremely well, very professional, as well as helpful, and made our circumstance very comfortable when it came to adopting the dog and decision. So that's a big decision when you bring another life into your life, and so it's an important thing, and I think that you make it very, very palatable for people. And I just wanted to comment on that and say that I've observed you personally in action, and I was there at least probably 2 hours that day, that one day, and I'd been there previously to that, observed the dog for at least an hour. So, all in all, about 3 or 4 hours of observation there. I think you do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add, I do have an incredibly awesome team that helps out, and they've all been there for a couple of years now. I don't have too many newbies, and they've just been incredible since all this has taken on, and with the COVID. I mean, I couldn't do it without them, honestly. I've got an excellent team.
Right. Okay. Any more questions or comments from the supervisors? If not, do we have any public comment? Okay, come ahead.
Hi, my name is Robin Bell, and I met some of you at the one-on-one meetings with Million Cat Challenge. And in fall of 2015, I started volunteering for the animal shelter. And at that time, the live release rate was 47%, meaning only 47% of the animals made it out alive. In the 4 years following, the live release rate steadily increased every year. And in 2018 was 83%. And while I did not make this change alone, I know a lot of the programs that I implemented resulted in this change. Number one, I started the rescue transport program, which saves 22 to 2,400 animals a year, and established mentorship partners with these rescue shelters. I got numerous grants for rescue. I started the process of evaluating dogs for their behavior to find out if they were adoptable or not. I started volunteer orientations to get volunteers involved in hands-on in the shelter. And I redid the PetPoint data software so that you could actually get lifetime reports. There were like 6,000 outdated animals. Anyway, since the time I stopped volunteering, which was shortly after the Million Cat Challenge came about, the live release rate dropped in 2019 to 80%. And that's on the county website. I don't know what the live release rate is right now because the way it's reported, the numbers are nonsensical. They're accounting statistics for 172% of the animals, and you just can't tell what's happening to the animals. And transparency is important to the public. Anyway, I'm here because I would like to encourage the county to continue looking for an animal services director. Well, Cindy has been at the shelter for a long time. She spent the majority of those years not doing anything about the horrific conditions that were there. And I understand that she has embraced the Million Cat Challenge program that Team Shelter USA presented to all of you and that you adopted. And that's great. But you need somebody who's going to see a problem and find the solution, not someone who's handed a solution and can implement it. You need somebody who's going to see a problem and take it on. And Cindy has a long history of not. And it's great that there's good morale and that this is being implemented, but I don't think it's at a directorship level. The other thing is, two other points. Cindy, in my experience, consistently showed prejudice against Native Americans. She'd been reluctant to offer them help and had negative reaction to volunteers who tried to find solutions to tribal animal overpopulation issues. Cindy had extended this prejudice to many North Fork residents as well, making such comments about these people are never going to change, you're only enabling them. And then I recently participated in a national town hall with one of the leading animal welfare organizations, and they've acknowledged that the key to reaching a no-kill status, which is a 90% live release rate, is engaging the community, that the shelter cannot do it alone, and you have to get the community's help.
I'm sorry, your time is.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Ann O'Rourke. I'm a resident of Madera and also an FMAS volunteer and a longtime volunteer for Madera Animal Shelter. I have known Sydney Avila for 29 years through the animal shelter. I started out as a volunteer there when I was 18, and she was awesome. She does not only help the animals that are easy to adopt, she sticks with them until they are adopted, even if they have issues that can be worked out. I have seen nothing less than consistency, integrity, and dedication, complete dedication to these animals and the Madera residents. I would have to strongly disagree with Mrs. Bell's comments. I have also seen Cindy in action for a very long time. And again, I have seen nothing but integrity and total dedication to these animals and to her job. She takes it very seriously. And since Kirsten left, she has been faced with a huge obstacle in trying to morph the shelter and keep it consistent as far as the live release rate. I know personally that she will do anything and everything to assist the public as well as these animals in her job. I have no question about that. So I would very much urge you to please approve Cindy for the director position. Again, I volunteer with FMAS and we work hand in hand, and she has been amazing in these last 6 months or so dealt with her.
Great.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Would you be sure to sign the sheet for us, please?
certainly.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you.
You.
Hi, my name is Laura Fongen. I started out as a FMES volunteer and did fostering. I've only worked at the shelter for about 1.5 years now. I've worked under Kirsten and Cindy, and honestly, I don't know if I'd still work there if Cindy wasn't the director. It's not an easy job, very emotional, a very hard job. You are taking care of these animals that you get attached to them. And you see people come in and not all the people are good. And you really feel for these animals. And she's taken animals that I didn't think there was any hope for and got them adopted. She's put me in play group and she's teaching me how to do what she's doing. And I can't think of anybody better than Cindy. As far as the comment about the Native Americans, I have family in reservations. I've never heard her do or say anything that would offend me. So I don't know where that was coming from, but I just had to state that we love her. And I'd do anything for her.
Thank you.
Please be sure to sign the sheet, please.
What was her name? I didn't catch that, David.
For fun, Jermaine.
What?
Say it into the.
What was it?
Oh, my name is Laura Fonjame.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaker.
My name is Crystal Wiggins. I've been an employee at the Madera Animal Shelter for officially 12 years now, unofficially 13. I did start as a volunteer myself so many years ago, and then I luckily got the job. This last 6 months with Cindy, I have noticed that the shelter has really blossomed. We've had some great employee morale boosts. She's an amazing director. She cares so much about the animals. As Laura was saying, Cindy's put her heart and soul in some animals that some of us weren't sure about, and we held on to them, and we found that amazingly perfect family for them, and those animals are blossoming. We get updates from their adopters, and they're doing amazing. Dogs are overly stressed at shelters, and some unknown behavior issues can surface. She sees past that and sees the potential of the animal and is able to find them their place. Through her leadership, we have really blossomed as a shelter. And as for the animals aren't needing to be euthanized because of spacing. Their behavioral issues aren't necessarily making them cases for euthanasia as they used to be in the past. Minor issues. Okay, this dog doesn't like male dogs. Dogs don't. She's able to make allowances, and we're able to find that dog a home with females or on its own. And that's through her guidance and compassion for the animals. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Officer Hill, I'm acting supervising officer. I've had the privilege of working with Cindy for about 14 years. She is an awesome person, does care about the animals. Change is inevitable. Not everybody slides into it easily. And there's going to be complaints. We can't make everyone happy. There's things that as law enforcement, we can do and things we can't do. And the public doesn't understand that. So education is a big thing. Cindy's big on education. She's got the shelter working in good order. There's still going to be obstacles no matter what, no matter who you put in there. Cindy's handled a lot. It's been dumped in her lap, done quite well. I feel she's your best choice. She knows how the thing works. You get somebody in there new, it's going to be a scramble of chaos, I believe. I just wanted to put my opinion out there.
Thank you
I
very
believe
much.
Cindy's
Appreciate
their
that.
best paid.
Further public comment? You have one email we need to read into the record.
Chairman, we have received 3 emails on this item now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm up here. So an email from Tamara, her last name is Shimizu. I'm sorry I cannot speak in person, but coronavirus concerns are keeping me from indoor gatherings. I started fostering for the shelter in 2002 when we moved to Coarse Gold. While there were small improvements over the years with Bay Area adoption events, there was no meaningful change in live save rate until Robin Bell came along and started the transport program. I became more enthusiastic about helping out beyond fostering when I finally saw this progress. I started helping out in the community more and got involved with some dog overpopulation issues on tribal land in the foothill communities. Cindy Avila was always very discouraging in regards to my involvement. She repeatedly lectured me that the Native Americans would never change and that helping them was only enabling them. I do not believe this is to be true. When people reach out for help with overpopulation, they are showing a willingness to make changes. I was also very excited about the Million Cat Challenge evaluation and saw it as a way to elevate the shelter to current shelter standards and best practices. I have not seen that their recommendations have been implemented to the fullest extent. I believe that it would take an outside appointment of someone who is already educated and enthusiastic about implementing them to bring the Madera shelter up to the live save rate that organizations like Fresno Humane have achieved in a few short years. I do not believe Cindy Avila is the right person for this task. She has had 28 years to prove herself, and I don't feel that she has. Thank you for your consideration and willingness to improve the lives of animals in our county. The second email is from Karen Bauer. I realize time of essence, so this will be brief. I am urging you to take further time to research for a truly outstanding animal services director. Change is needed, and we will not get that with more of the same. And the last email is from DJ Becker. Good morning, supervisors. I would again like to renew my objections to the appointment of Cindy Avila as Animal Services Director. The person who has intentionally worked to dismantle the fostering, volunteer, and rescue networks that took all of us the last 15 years to build and has betrayed the trust of a community is not the person to lead or heal this department now. Kirsten Gross did not fail in this impossible job, and as you well know, she did not willingly retire in December. You supervisors have failed for the last 10 years, failed to fund, failed to plan, and failed to build an adequate animal shelter to meet even the basic needs of Madera residents. No one could do this job with such an underfunded, undersized, and overwhelmed facility, but she has somehow making it work. Bay Area adoption events, hundreds to rescue, runs to Washington and Oregon Humane Societies. You have lost the best asset the community county animal shelter will ever have. None of you have ever spent time more than an hour at this rundown facility, much less an hour or two behind the intake counter, and now you think you know what's best for our community. Closing the animal shelter doors and not accepting 90% of unwanted homeless or stray animals from residents is just absurd and will only increase the local surplus of unwanted animals. You supervisors are the ones that have broken this long, struggling animal shelter. Each and every one of you owns all of this. I will make sure that this is your legacy now. DJ Becker.
Interesting, the assumptions people make for other people that they don't hang out with. Anyway, any further comment? Public? If not, bring it back to the board. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
I'm voting yes because of the support of the staff.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rogers?
Yes, and I'm glad to see the support of your staff behind you already. That's really key. And thank you for implementing policy of the Board of Supervisors. That's also key.
I'm hoping at some point we can get past human drama and focus on the animals again.
Right.
And,
Absolutely. That's certainly my goal. Like I said, I'm willing to work with all of them, but they don't all agree with the direction we're going, unfortunately, but that will not stop me. I know it won't be easy, but I am up to the task and I will get there.
Keep going.
Any help you need bringing that together, let my office know.
Yeah.
Very much.
Behind you. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
that. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Again. right, we're going to try to finish this out as quickly as possible. 7F.
7F, Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department. Discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Ratablis in an amount not to exceed $243,043 for a rate study consulting service and authorize the chairman to sign.
Good afternoon, Stephanie and Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. Before you is a proposed agreement with Raftellus. Raftellus is a well-regarded rate consultant that specializes in the water industry. This proposed agreement is the result of an RFP process. They were the only responsible and responsive bidder. It would basically enable the county GSAs only to establish a fee for extracting groundwater. The fee would be based on costs that the county still has to assess in terms of recharge projects as well as incentives for resting and retiring land. I would like to get this consultant on board as quickly as possible so that we can get a strategy in place for having this be a successful 218.
Yeah, the focus of it is cost not to create an agency or fund government, but to actually fund projects.
That's right. This is, and you'll recall with the GSA fee in November of last year, that funded the administrative and planning services, but could not fund projects and management actions. So this is funding the projects.
This is actual
This is
things to allow people to continue to farm to keep value
Yes.
of property. Move to approve.
Motion made. For a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comment from the public on this item? And I'll bring it back to the board. No comment over the, okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Let's vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
7G.
7G, Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Water and Natural Resources Department, Groundwater Sustainability Agency's update.
Stephanie and Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. Again, I have a couple quick items to give you an update on. This is your every other month update on the activities of the county GSA. Probably most importantly, in the Madera Sub-Basin, we have a signed, fully executed coordination agreement that's been turned into the state. The State Water Resources Control Board has to write a letter to tell DWR to post the plans in the Madera Sub-Basin. So that's where it stands currently. Very good news. We've also been awarded the funds that were tentatively awarded last year and then withdrawn when we didn't have a coordination agreement. And that will allow us to do an inventory of domestic wells and to install monitoring wells in places with concentrations of domestic wells. We are transferring data from David's Engineering to Houston, which is creating a data management system, a DMS, which is a state requirement. We are working on the water market with the consultant Corona, as well as Wood Rogers, to create a simulation for next year. We're going to roll that out in December, but we could simulate basically on paper or using the internet a water market over multiple years so that we could test what rules will be successful. For example, if you have an allocation, would you be able to carry that over if you didn't use it from year to year? We also are launching our Strategic Agricultural Land Conservation Grant at the advisory committee meeting in August. This is a grant that creates an incentive structure to rate and then retire or rest land. We talked about the domestic well inventory, and then we had the rate study, which was the previous item. So that was all on my kind of laundry list of tasks that we have. I know that you've also received a letter from MAWA, the Madera Ag Water Association. And I know that Supervisor Wheeler and I discussed it with the Regional Water Management Group meeting. The suggestion from MAWA is to change the well spacing in Title 13, which is our well ordinance. We are looking again at the well ordinance. There's actually a meeting tomorrow on it, coincidentally, but the letter from MAWA does draw attention to the fact that we don't really have good data on how many domestic wells there are. We have 10 years worth of good data, and then the Department of Water Resources has a longer time period, but it seems less complete than what we have. So the entire focus of these grants that we've been awarded is to figure out how many domestic wells there are. So in order to implement MAWA's suggestion and change the spacing, increase the spacing between wells, we would need to know how many wells they are and where they are. So it's a suggestion that I think is from a good place. They are concerned about domestic wells, and that is a good thing, but I don't know that it's actionable right now.
Supervisor Frazier.
What are we doing to monitor and ensure that we're meeting the glide path?
So in 2 weeks, I'm going to come to you with some water use data using satellite imagery of what it looks like, and I'm going to suggest that we move towards some form of a water budget or allocation for those in the county GSA. The advisory committee has been suggesting different versions over the course of a past year. We haven't settled on something, but I think we need to make a decision, get that in place, and give people the certainty that they need in order to plan. I hope that's okay.
Has there been any, as I'm guessing?
Yeah, I don't want to give away the presentation ahead of time, but the trend that we're basically seeing is new land is being planted that wasn't planted. Almonds are coming out early and being replanted with almonds, and then trees that use less water are being upgraded, so they're shifting to almonds. So we're seeing the opposite of the trend that we would want to see. It is not entirely a county GSA thing. So although we do kind of bear, I don't know, that we can take a certain amount of blame for this, but it is not just the county GSA. We're seeing that trend countywide.
Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this is more of a comment just in support of Stephanie's observations. It seems like as a county, as a GSA, we really need to really take some steps to strongly encourage the less pumping. We've seen some 50 to 75 to 100-foot drawdowns in our water table just this year. And as Stephanie mentioned, we've seen new plantings out in the county areas that it's just kind of mystifying. Why would people be putting in these plantings that are going to require a significant amount of water over the next 20 years? And I don't know where they're going to get the water or where they think they're going to get the water. It's more of a pipe dream, and there's significant investments. So I'm not sure if they don't think that we're serious or they don't think that SGMA is a serious act. I'm not sure where that comes from because it's been around since 2014, 2015. You have to have had your head stuck in the ground and not know what's coming down. But we really do need to get serious about, putting some teeth into the enforcement to, restrict and stay on the guideline, maybe even increase the restrictions in terms of how much water can be taken out of wells. This year is 2% over each year for the next 5 years. This is turning out to kind of be a gimme year, but I think, again, we need to get aggressive and maybe even step up our reduction.
There's no grandfathering.
Right.
If you got in by this year.
Exactly. So we're going to continue to have these discussions, and I'm looking forward to meeting with Stephanie, setting an appointment. We had a water group meeting a few weeks ago and some interesting conversation, but so it's serious, and I think that we've got the COVID crisis and other things, but we can't forget about what we're seeing right now on our water tables and our aquifer. Serious.
Groundwater is a crisis.
Any other comments from or If not, any comment from the public? Hearing none, thank you for the presentation. Okay, we have one additional item for closed session, and I'm going to try to finish that up. One or two? One, okay. Go ahead and go to back to closed session.
Did you want to do pending legislation? or?
Yeah, pending
Supervisor?
legislation and supervisor's reports. Do you have any pending legislation? None? Reports? None?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report? Okay. Tom?
Yeah, I just wondering, well, I probably don't need to do it here. Rob, if you had any success on seeing what's happening with the senior meals up here in eastern Madera County, and I think Madera too.
Still waiting to hear back from Maddie. He's supposed to set up a meeting with FMAAA, and I'm not sure that's occurred yet. Apparently it hasn't, because I asked to be part of that conversation.
Good. I hope you're in it so that you can give them direction, I hope.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Any reports? Okay. That's it. We'll go back to closed session, finish out the closed.
Do I go off again, Rhonda?
Ready?
Steve, is your mic on? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
County Council, anything to report out of closed session?
No, Chairman, nothing to report. Just a reminder that the Riverwalk Public Financing Authority meeting is been posted for 1:30 this afternoon.
Okay.
And that includes Supervisor Frazier, Supervisor Rogers, and Supervisor Poitras, and 2 public authority members. Thank you.
Okay. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Yep. I'm here.